Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Russ here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, NFL Week 15 wraps up with a Monday Night Football double dip. First up, Bears at the Vikings, 5 o'clock kick on ABC. The Vikings are 7-point favorites. Then at 5:30 on ESPN, it's the Falcons in Vegas against the Raiders. The Falcons are 6-point road favorites. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes has been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain and is considered week to week. Lions running back David Montgomery out indefinitely after suffering an MCL sprain in last night's loss to the Bills. It is feared he is lost for the season. NFL Network reporting the 49ers suspending linebacker Devondre Campbell 3 games for conduct detrimental to the team after refusing to enter Thursday night's game against the Rams. Over in the association, after a loss last night in Phoenix to the Suns, the Blazers off until Thursday. That's when they host the Nuggets, losers of 6 straight and 10 of their last 12. Portland now 8-18, third worst in the West and 7th worst in the league. The 76ers announced center Joel Embiid out indefinitely with a sinus fracture and will be reevaluated in 1 week. And on the college hardcourt, we got college hoops on 910 ESPN Portland. The Pilots hosting my Willamette Bearcats. Pregame coverage at 6:30 with Swag on the call. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new long-sleeve tee and hoodies in your favorite college colors. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie?
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon! Hey, welcome in. Happy Monday, everybody. How we doing?
Doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. How you doing?
I'm great. Back in the saddle again. We are back in Portland after what was an awesome weekend in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
Indeed.
We went to the Army-Navy presented by USAA. Awesome event. Like, there's rarely do you have, like, the bucket list event that lives up to every single expectation. Army-Navy does, man. And it was special. It was different. It was really cool, man. There's the beginning of the game, and everybody talks about, hey, the pageantry of the game is what makes it special. Whether we got to the stadium at like 9:30 in the morning, and there was something,
like
there is something all day long from like 9:30 a.m. all the way through till like 7 p.m. when we left. And there is an event going on, whether it is outside of the stadium where they have like all of the military interactive installations that they have going on there, to just seeing the tailgating in the parking lot like a normal college football game, except for, you know, you see a lot of these people, I don't know, have served our country, and it's not like college kids tailgating. Didn't see really any college kids tailgating at all because they can't.
No. For those that don't know, aware of the cadets and midshipmen, this is like their getaway.
Yeah,
getting out there like this, you don't get to go do stuff.
Is this drier than like a BYU game?
No.
No, God,
okay.
no.
Oh, but it is not. No, nobody said anything about it being dry.
Well, okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's
just
those
college
guys
kids
can't.
are not.
Yeah.
The actual students are not.
Yeah.
Other than that, very similar to
it's
any college game everywhere.
and alumni.
Yeah. So
anyway, so glad you guys had a great time this weekend.
Yeah. The cadets, though, like West Point, they drive in like the day of. So last year was in Foxborough, Massachusetts, is in Boston, and they said that they brought in the midshipmen from Annapolis, and they had to bus them in, and they slept on cots at the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they're going and getting hotel rooms. So that's the reason why this whole thing is on the East Coast. So I was talking to, actually on our flight home, there was a woman sitting in front of me, and she was like, this is the 5th game I've gone to, first time I've rooted for Navy or Army, because my son just graduated from the Naval Academy last year. So the previous 4 years, we were all pulling for Navy. And I was like, well, why'd you switch? He's like, oh, my other son, he goes to West Point now. I was like, oh, okay. Super smart kids then. But she was saying that for the cadets at West Point, they had to be at 12:30 a.m. They had to be dressed and in formation to get on the buses to drive from West Point down to D.C. 12:30 a.m. And then they go through, and we did what's called the March On. I have photos and videos up of the March On. One of the coolest experiences where basically in formation, every battalion from West Point, and then they come and they march in formation. They do a chant, and then they all march right on out. Takes about 45 minutes for each school to get all of their cadets. I mean, it's goal line to goal line all the way down, and they're just standing at attention the entire time. Then Naval Academy comes in. They do it. I will say this. Everybody from the Naval Academy is like, yeah, we get owned in the March On.
Look, Navy, it's not a precision march with them.
You hear a lot of, it's really hard to march when you're on a ship and it's moving. Yeah. It's like, okay, kind of get that.
Not a lot of focus put on that.
West Point, boy, they took their time.
Precision.
It was precision. Naval Academy, they were like, hey, we're going to hurry this thing up. We're going to move the drill. Mm-hmm. They go a little bit faster throughout the whole thing. But that was the first part where it's just like, whoa, the kind of the gravity of this game, the magnitude of it, what it means to the students of the game. The game itself,
it was okay.
I mean, yeah, it was okay.
Okay.
Very kind of sloppy football. It's a lot slower speed than like if you're watching Big Ten or SEC football.
The media room where we were at, we're directly behind the cadets.
Yeah,
and
that was badass.
That was awesome, man. Because like they were until even in losing, they were still having a blast. Because again, I want to highlight this. Like they don't get to do this stuff.
No.
Like this is their reprieve. This is where they get to go have their fun. And so the energy is on 11 the entire time.
Yeah. Dude.
They are on tilt the entire. Look, I took a picture of it. They somehow managed to sneak in a blow-up doll that they put a donkey head on because if you don't know, the mascot for the Army is a donkey. And it was a terrifying looking thing. Like it was all taped together.
Yeah.
And they don't have like bags that they bring in.
He had to hide that underneath his whatever shawl is.
I would imagine that there was multiple parts that were like somebody brought a roll of tape, somebody brought the donkey head, somebody brought the blow up doll. Like it was a process of making this all come together, and that's like half the fun of like the very stupid things that you do.
Yeah.
In these moments,
Blake Horvath was really damn good in that game.
My goodness, was he good?
He was an animal. But then after the game, it was one of the like you don't get the magnitude of it. You don't get how much it means in the stadium because you can feel it in the stadium. You know, they always say winner sings second, right? And right when the game gets done, there was even like a shoving match, like right at the end of the game. And then clock hits 0, and Army goes straight over to the cadets in front of them. They sing first, and the amount of respect that is shown as those teams, like shoving match ends, boom, it is right over to the end of the stadium. Every single player for Navy, they take their helmets off. They take, if you're wearing like a bandana or, a rag, you take that off.
Covers are off.
They are standing at attention. Nobody is talking. Nobody is hooping and hollering. They are just standing at attention, respecting West Point singing, the cadets and the team singing their fight song. The moment that song gets over, there is an eruption. And it was the wildest thing because I was looking around and you see like from standing at attention, laser focus, that song got over and Navy, it was time for their time to sing. There were coaches, administrators, players, tears just streaming down their face. And
because Army had won the last two, so you want to make sure if you're a senior, this is your chance, man.
The importance of that game, just They go dead sprint over to the opposite corner where the midshipmen were, and you have players jumping into the stands. You had, I mean, it was just like this massive humanity. It takes about 15 seconds. Boom. They're into their fight song. And all of Army's team, they come over. They're standing at attention. They are composed. That song ends. Then you start seeing the gravity of we lost this game for Army. You see grown men, coaches, administrators. It meant a whole hell of a lot to lose that game. And then once that gets over, the celebration was so much mutual respect. Like Navy's players went nuts.
Yep.
They went nuts. But they waited for it until after Army's players, the ones that just got off the field, they got off the field, and then it was just mayhem.
Even then, they went nuts immediately to go sing their alma mater.
Yeah.
And no punches were thrown. Ohio State.
Right.
Grow up. Children. Honestly, I said it on Twitter. I it was one of those things where for the memes, I wanted to see Navy plant an American flag at midfield. What do you say to that?
America.
Yeah, like But like singing second is a big deal.
Yeah.
Winners sing second.
It was really cool.
That's what it comes with that.
It is a bucket list. I think everybody should go to that game. If you're a sports fan, it's worth it. It is so worth that trip because when you're there and you get to see, the heckling going back and forth between, veterans that are in the stands, but the amount of mutual respect that there is too, the chants that go back and forth between the cadets and the midshipmen, like there is so much more that you don't see on TV that goes into that game that was so awesome. It was really damn cool. It was a 10 out of 10 for the bucket list, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show on Friday as much as we did because those guests were impressive in their own right. Like I still can't get over when we talked to General Gillen, who's the superintendent, basically president of West Point, and we talked to two cadets. You sit there and you're like, God, how do you have it together this well? They're really overachievers. They are really just overachievers.
Just tremendous humans on every single level, and you find out where they come from, what they're doing, what they're like. We had a couple of cadets on Media Row, and they were literally the number 1 and number 2 in command.
Yeah.
You have a command structure within the academies. You have your actual commanders, the superintendent, Lieutenant General Gilland, who's a 3-star general, and then they have the other officers that kind of fall in line after that actually run the academy, the instructors and things of that nature. But within the actual cadet structure, there is rank, and those you select your career path based on rank. And that's based on tests, both physical and mental. So you have your actual education tests and you have your PT tests. And you are slotted and ranked. And that's how you get to pick your career going forward.
Dang.
And so when you're one of the top in your class, you are quite literally the top of your class, and you get to select. You have two choices. You get one of your top 2 if you're at the top. And those are the same people that go on and they end up becoming, Fortune 500 CEOs and senators and congressmen, and like you see these they're kids.
Yep.
That have their stuff so far together.
That's wild.
And every time you worry about, where the world is, you go, they'll be all right.
Yeah, the kids are all right. Takeaways. Rufio chiming in on the Vancouver Ford text line. So, Danny, how'd that Air Force side of the Commander-in-Chief trophy look? Boy, that was one of my highlights, is that they had the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, which has 3 sides, if you followed along with our best trophies bracket that we did. You have an Army, Navy, Air Force side of it. Danny is going to get a picture of the Air Force side, which is on the back side of this trophy
it's the
up
Army,
against
Navy
the wall.
Game.
And somebody goes, yeah, not a lot of plaques back there, are there?
To which I replied,
because there's a plaque for every year you win it.
To which I replied,
was he trying to get a picture of my backside as well?
Look, we've only been around since 1947.
Yeah.
So National Security Act 1947 is what created the Air Force out of the Army Air Corps.
Well, what? That's a year older than Israel, right?
Which is why I was representing Army.
Yes.
Because the Army is like our uncle.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like our uncle.
It was. It was.
Our crazy uncle.
It was awesome weekend. DC. It was my first trip to DC. Lot of traffic. A lot of horns. Everybody uses their horn. Big horn use. And
you get the crap scared out of you by a cop.
If you have epilepsy, like that's not the place because there's police lights just on
everywhere.
Every block. They're just on all the just police lights all the time. Like the strobe, like it's got to be hell for folks with epilepsy over there.
Incredibly clean city.
Very clean. Yep.
For a major city, very clean.
Yeah, got a big budget.
Yeah.
Got a big budget on that.
Yeah.
White House was cool. It is very white, in fact. Very white.
Can't get really that close to it, that's for sure, between the barrier they put up after the guy tried to drive through the fence and then the construction for inauguration. You can't really get that close right now.
Yeah, National Mall was really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Lincoln Memorial was insane.
Yeah, it is.
I hadn't been in there before, and that was nuts. Boy, do we know how to do monuments right.
Yeah, we do them pretty well.
We haven't done them in a long time, but boy, do we know how to do them well.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool experience.
I mean, as long as they're on the right side of the Civil War.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we still.
Statues. We're talking like big old monuments. Yeah, like those were impressive. The World War II memorial. Danny and I got strong armed by a man for peace. Guy just comes up and he hands us like these bracelets. He's like, for peace. And we're like, okay. And then he hands us this book. He's like, sign the book for peace. And I was like, what? No. And then he's like, he had all of these prices of what people donated for peace. And so I gave him $2 and he's like, $40. I was like, no, what? What kind of peaceful act is this?
Yeah, no, it was a hustle.
That guy was hustling, but then he would just like basically write down whatever, and then he'd write $40 to try and get people to donate to him $40 for peace. It was an incredible hustle that man had.
Yeah, this sounds like a lot like George Costanza's Human Fund.
I think it was. I don't know how many of those $40 donations that he actually had in hand, but he wrote down a lot of them for peace. For peace. It was all for peace.
Yeah, it was all for peace.
At least he wrote them down.
It was all for peace. No. All of this is for peace.
I gave him $5 because I respected the hustle.
Yeah. We went to so we get into town on Thursday night and we're just like, all right, let's find somewhere. We'll go and get dinner really quick. There was an Irish bar that had really high reviews in Chinatown.
Right around the corner from where we were staying.
Yeah. Turns out we walk in, it's the only organ bar in.
It's literally a duck bar. I point up
in DC.
I go, Dusty, look at this. There's a duck flag hanging in the ceiling.
Yeah, and our waitress is like, I love the ducks. And then she's like, she starts singing the fight song. I'm like, what is happening here? Where are we? Irish bar in Chinatown.
That's what I was going to say. Irish bar in Chinatown.
And it's a duck and apparently a pit panther bar. So I don't know, but it was one of those things that I have no idea how or why we ended up there, but Google took us there. It was a great bar, though. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. All right. Man, it was a fun time, though. Great time. Very important people walking around that city. And they like to feel important there.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
I will say, it's a good-looking people city.
Yeah, everybody's put together.
A lot of really good-looking people. A lot of accents.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of hoodies around there.
No.
You don't see
lot of peacoats.
Yeah,
A lot of peacoats. Big scarf city.
Big scarf city. You got a scarf.
I did. I
got fell into the scarf trap.
I did fall into the scarf trap, and it was very important that I fell into the scarf trap.
Army Navy was great, though. It was great. It was awesome. Big shout outs USAA for inviting us out there and hooking up Media Row and doing Radio Row with us. It was unbelievable weekend all the way around. Army Navy, 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. It was sweet. All right. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? What a weekend in football. Boy, yesterday. We talk about clunkers of weekends. We had a plus weekend of NFL football, and I think one run might have ended. Next on The Fan. Amazing weekend of NFL action yesterday where we have playoff races that are starting to get a little bit more clarity and others are tightening up. And kind of the game highlighting the weekend, it was not the Sunday night game. It was that Bills-Lions game. Bills-Lions, holy camole. What a great game. Bills' offense, very good. Josh Allen is playing like an MVP. The Lions had no chance to win that game because they wore their black uniforms. I think we can keep it as simple as that.
See, I remember turning that on early and saying to myself, this is going to be a Lions win because of those uniforms.
You said win?
Yeah.
No, I knew they were losing right when they went. Those are ugly. They're not good uniforms. Don't like them. Don't like Honolulu blue.
So F me.
Beautiful. But you can't play the Bills in Detroit in a big game like that and roll out the black uniforms. And that's why they started slow, I think. That's why it started slow. The game looked like it was going to be a blowout from the get-go.
Is it like a full-on like black plague that's now affecting the Lions' ability to stay healthy?
Maybe. Well, no, that's been a plague that it's caught the Lions all season long.
Goodness gracious.
It's done. Like the Lions, I wanted them to be a Super Bowl team, and look, they gave one hell of a fight yesterday. And for those that are criticizing Dan Campbell for going for an onside kick down 10 with 12 minutes to go, I think you're criticizing the result, which was the onside kick ended up getting returned to the 5-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it right there. Yeah. That's what you're upset about. Because he was looking
for fourth downs.
Well, no, he's looking at a defense that isn't stopping anybody and will not have the ability to stop anybody because over the course of that game, the Lions lose Aleem McNeil and Carlton Davis. So Aleem McNeil, who just signed a massive extension like 2 months ago, he tore his ACL. He's done for the year.
Yep.
Davis apparently broke his jaw.
Yeah, oh my
He's
God.
out for 6 weeks now. The Detroit Lions have lost 7 starters to injury this year.
I mean, and
7.
And not even just like starters. Now they're going to be without Montgomery on top of Aiden Hutchinson. You could argue their 2 most important players in Montgomery and Hutchinson lost for the season.
Do you know how many people have started on defense for the Lions this year? How many players have started for the Lions this season just on defense?
I'm going to say 34.
74.
No, 29.
Okay.
The roster
that's a
is
crazy
58.
Number. Yeah, that's why I went with
you take offensive players out of it. I mean, you're talking about they are starting guys that they've picked up off the scrap heap and put out to play. That is why the best story this year in the NFL is the Detroit Lions' quest for a Super Bowl. I love that story. The Bills have been a team where they've been kind of building to this, but we know they're really damn good. The Detroit Lions were this juggernaut, can't come out swinging, and they've been depleted by injuries. That's why I don't blame Dan Campbell by going, I'm going to kick the onside kick. I'm going to go for it. And by the way, that first onside kick, when they went for the second one, they changed the type of onside kick that they were going to have, and they damn near got it, right? Like, when you know your defense cannot stop a team, you go for it. Because if you go for that onside kick, because if they go down and score, that's kind of what you were expecting anyways, and you're taking, 30 yards of field position on a good onside kick. On that one, they gave up like 70 yards of field position. But you are allowing your offense another chance to get out on the field, and you know that it's going to take something fluky. You got to be able to get the ball in your hands, though.
I mean, you go down the list. It's not just the guys that they've cycled through. It's just how many guys they've lost for the season.
Yep.
That's the insane thing. You're just like, you've lost 2 pass rushers for the season. You've lost 2 linebackers for the season. You've lost a corner for the season. You've lost a defensive tackle for the season. You've lost a safety for the season. Like, you're just like, oh my God, the number of dudes that they have lost for the season is insane.
I don't know how you do it. I honestly, I don't.
And the flip side of it is, if they're healthy, my God, are they a great team?
Yes.
Because again, it's not just like they didn't just lose depth. They've lost again, probably the two most important players in David Montgomery and in Aiden Hutchinson. Two of the most impactful players on the entire roster for the season now. And you start going like, well, you might be able to do it. You got Jahmyr Gibbs. You can kind of
offense. You're better off than, but the defense is way too much attrition.
But I mean, you go get Zadarius Smith, and you're like, yeah, he's going to be productive, but you also have Aleem. Like you're like, we can still kind of figure this out because they were still, since Aiden Hutchinson went down, they led the league in quarterback pressure rate. Did you know that?
It's crazy. Yes, I did read that.
Like that's even without that shows you how good they are even without Aiden.
Yeah.
And so if you add Aiden Hutchinson, you add all the things that they did to reinforce this team to be as good as they still are. It sucks, man, because this was supposed to be the story of the year.
It's over. And that's terrible.
There's just too much attrition. Look, if they somehow do something out of this, it will be one of the more impressive runs we've ever seen.
It will be it'll take over like the Giants who went and beat the 18-0 Patriots in the Super Bowl after they got absolutely blasted by them in the final week of the regular season. 50, they got 50 put up on them in an NFL game, and then end up winning that Super Bowl. It will be more impressive than that
because they're just gutted.
I don't know how a team goes on. I don't know how you have 29 different guys start on your defense and win 12 games. Period.
Think about that. 29 guys when you start 11.
Yeah.
You've almost had 3 whole units out there.
And
God,
your roster's only 58.
Nuts.
It's crazy.
Nuts.
It's crazy to see what Detroit has done, but also Josh Allen is a dude. He is MVP worthy, and I think when you look at what is happening this season, another guy who balled out and had a ridiculous day was Lamar Jackson yesterday. And I think we should talk about him because this MVP race is really looking like a 2-man race that should have a third in there, but the third definitely won't be. We'll get to that after Rust with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It is hard to stop a train. First on The Fan, NFL Week 15 wraps up with a Monday night football 2-game slate. Not a doubleheader. First up, Bears at the Vikings. 5 o'clock kick on ABC. The Vikings are 7-point favorites, and at 5:30, that's only a half an hour later, on ESPN, it's the Falcons in Vegas against the Raiders. The Falcons are 6-point road favorites. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes has been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain and is considered week to week. Lions head coach Dan Campbell says running back David Montgomery, he's going to have season-ending knee surgery for a torn MCL after getting injured in yesterday's loss to the Bills. NFL Network reporting the 49ers suspending linebacker Devondre Campbell 3 games for conduct detrimental to the team. This after refusing to enter Thursday night's game against the Rams. Over on the hard court, after a loss last night in Phoenix to the Suns, the Blazers off until Thursday when they host the Nuggets. Losers of 6 straight and 10 of their last 12. Portland now 8-18 on the season. The 76ers announced center Joel Embiid. He is out indefinitely with a sinus fracture and will be reevaluated in 1 week. And on the college hard court, we got hoops tonight on 910 ESPN Portland. The Pilots hosting my Willamette Bearcats. Pregame coverage at 6:30 with Swag on the call. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's the Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Must qualify.
As impressive as Josh Allen's 22 for 34 for 362 and a couple of tutties to go along with 68 yards rushing on 11 carries and 2 more touchdowns, Lamar Jackson was just as good against the New York Giants, not the banged-up, depleted Detroit Lions. But against the New York Giants, Lamar Jackson went 21 of 25 for 290 yards and 5 touchdowns.
And most importantly, covered. 16.5-point dogs were the Giants.
Lamar Jackson had more touchdown passes than incompletions.
He's done that, like, I want to say 6 times in his career. I think that's what I heard.
Well, I got that number. Hold on, let me find that for you here. What he's done, the most 5+ touchdown games with 0 interceptions all time. That is where he has 6.
Okay.
Tom Brady and Drew Brees each have 8. Tom Brady got his 6th game at the age of 40.
How old Lamar?
Drew Brees got his at the age of 34. Lamar Jackson is 27 years old.
Oh.
How is Lamar Jackson not 30 yet?
It is crazy that he is still that young.
It is nuts. And yesterday,
Penix is 25, right?
Yeah, 24. I think he's still 24. Well, Dylan Gabriel's 24.
Yeah, I mean, like you start looking at these guys that had come into the league, and you realize that Lamar came into the league so young.
He was a baby. And he is putting together an MVP resume again. That is pretty ridiculous. When you look at just the raw numbers that he's putting up, he's already got 3,500 yards passing. He's completing 68% of his passes. He is 743 yards rushing, and he's averaging 6.4 yards per carry when he's using his legs. And here are the Ravens in a spot yet again they're in the playoffs, but they still have a chance to even win the division, albeit outside. They're 9-5. They've had their lumps. At the beginning of the year, they were trying to work in a new rhythm to their offense with Derrick Henry, and they're thriving. And Lamar Jackson is a massive, massive reason why they are thriving the way that they are. Josh Allen, his season, he's not leading like any of the major markers and anything, but what you can't account for is what Josh Allen's doing MVP-wise. Like, when you talk about the most valuable player, it is not a stats-based award.
No.
The value of when Josh Allen is making his plays and what he had to do at the beginning of the year, we talked about this. No Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. Who's Josh Allen's best receiver? That was the question that everybody was asking themselves. Here they are, 11-3 on the year, and just picking off big wins after big win, and he's not going to be a guy that he leads the league in total yards, but he's picking and choosing when he uses his reckless abandon that he runs with now, and his growth as a passer, he's making a receiver room that had to grow alongside him that much better. And hell, the team went out and they did their best when they went and they got Amari Cooper to put in that receiver room. But if you look at what he did yesterday, his leading receiver yesterday was a running back, Ty Johnson.
I mean, and you again, taking a look at weapons, James Cook, their leading running back, is 18th in the league in rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got, what is he, about 7 touchdowns in the season?
No idea.
No, he actually has 13. I'm sorry. He actually is up there for touchdowns. He's the kind of, him and Josh Allen are their goal line guys. Like, that's, but again, you're not, to compare and contrast, Lamar Jackson has Derrick Henry, who has just shy of 1,500 yards rushing.
Yeah, pretty good. They run the ball really well. But I was watching that game yesterday, and what Lamar Jackson does with his ball fakes and on the outside, like, he is such an incredible athlete that he can just mess with some of the best athletes in the world. Like, he's got Kayvon Thibodeau bearing down on him yesterday, and he gives him like a little head stutter fake, and Kayvon has no idea what to do. Lamar creates a little bit of room, then just drops a seed down the field, and you're going, yeah, that's growth. That's a guy that we are seeing grow as a quarterback, the position. And to hit the point of his athleticism, you see the play where he had to pull up his pants in the middle of a run?
No, I missed that one.
Yeah. He literally was running with the ball, and in an NFL game where they say the game is so fast, like it takes so much concentration, and guys are moving so fast that even the best athletes in the world, they can't make those runs. He's running down the field, pulling his pants up, and then gets some extra yards after.
This is me trying to run to the bathroom when I know it's an emergency.
Yeah. So he was asked about that after the game.
Hold up your pants.
All right, so look, they was asking me that, so I'm like, I felt like wind was touching my butt, so I was trying to keep my tights up for real. I feel like the tights just like got a little loose or something. I don't know. So I was like just trying to keep my pants up, but that's all it was. It was too cold out there. Like, what? Might end it on that.
Two things here. One, he's so fast he feels wind on his butt.
Yeah.
Two,
that's also my wife when she feels me running up behind her.
He's such a good athlete that the man can pull his pants up and get yards in the NFL.
Pretty impressive.
Those two guys are far and away. Like, that's going to be what the MVP comes down to. Joe Burrow needs to be in that conversation.
He should, because when you're talking about the numbers and the production side of things, his has been insane. But I just looked it up real quick. The Bills wide receivers. Okay.
Yeah.
Number one, Khalil Shakir. Do you know where he ranks in the NFL right now in yards? Just take a wild guess in like a 1 through 100 ranking.
A 1 through 87.
28th.
Oh, okay.
But he doesn't have a top 25 wide receiver. And then these guys, weirdly enough, Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman have the exact same number of yards this season. 481 yards apiece. That is good for 74th in the league.
Yeah.
So it's not like what you're talking about. What he is doing is incredible. And again, look, Shakir, Cooper, Coleman, they're good.
Yep.
They're not terrible.
Mac Hollins and his bare feet.
James Cook is a passable, slightly above average, maybe running back. But we talked about this at the beginning of the year. The subtraction of Stephon Diggs kind of made everybody come together in a sense of like, it made Josh Allen take full control, and not in a I have to do it my way, but it fully actualized what he is and what he can do, and I think it optimized him. As weird as that sounds, now could he be better if he had a Jamar Chase? Sure.
I said this about Jaden Daniels at the beginning of the year, like, don't go out and get an alpha receiver to put with him, because then he feels like he has to feed him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you're at with Allen, is like their offense is actually better when they have more balance to it. And you learn, we're going to take the read that's there. I don't have to worry about how many touches, Stephon Diggs gets, unless you have one of those selfless wide receivers like a Larry Fitzgerald who just doesn't care. He's just like, let's just play winning football. Those are a lot harder to find. But when you see the growth of Allen this year, dude is making plays all over. And that it's going to be a two-man race for the MVP, because, Patrick Mahomes is not having an MVP year. He's not. They're 13-1. Mm-hmm. And yesterday's win was, again, one of those games that all that Chiefs fans have been waiting for the last couple of weeks is like, can we get that blowout win? Can we get that win that is just a no-doubter? And thankfully, Jameis Winston was there, and he was giving you all of those opportunities to have that blowout win. But I saw a lot of people upset at the fact that the Chiefs were throwing the ball late in the game, and Mahomes ends up getting a high ankle sprain, which I don't know how much they got 3 games in 10 days coming up. They play Saturday, Thursday, and then the next Saturday maybe, or next Sunday.
And he got folded like origami on that head.
Crazy.
Honestly, he's lucky it's just a high ankle sprain, because the way he got folded was we were sitting there at a sports bar in D.C. watching the game. We both went, ugh.
Yeah, he got that's not good.
No.
But right when it happened, I'm like, he'll be fine. He's Patrick Mahomes. Like, he never gets hurt.
Yeah.
Even when it looks like he's hurt. And that today they're calling it mild high ankle sprain. I don't know if we see him Thursday. Or I don't know if we see him Saturday. I bet we see him next Wednesday on Christmas Day, that Christmas Day game against the Texans, because they have wiggle room now.
Also, the NFL wants that.
They want, they're probably going to be like,
if you think,
don't play it on Saturday.
If you think Netflix is going to be happy about Patrick Mahomes not playing after spending all that money on that game,
I think Andy Reid goes,
buddy.
I don't care what you think, Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think, NFL. I need Patrick Mahomes healthy because we're 13-1. We're in the playoffs. We got a 2-game cushion on the number 1 overall seed in the NFL or the AFC. We'll play him when he's ready to play. I doubt we see him on Saturday because one quick turnaround, high ankle sprain, and then we're seeing like Justin Herbert. He got rolled up again yesterday. His ankle again hurt.
That ankle's been hurt for seemingly 54 weeks.
Get Mahomes enough time, and then all will be well in this world. He is there, but I understand why they were throwing the ball late in the game is because they're still trying to figure out their offense, man. Their offensive line, no bueno, not good. Going to get him killed. But they're still trying to figure out what works, and I don't blame Andy Reid for throwing the ball. And I know he went like 6 straight incompletions. Dude, you got to still work out those kinks in a big way. I'm not worried. Mahomes, you're going to be fine. The Chiefs, again, I think they're going to be okay as long as their offensive line starts to block anybody. Yeah, just do it.
It's little things.
You're going to be okay. All right, big news in college football today, and we have heard from the head man himself, Danny and Dusty on the Fan. The portal giveth, the portal taketh, and for some teams, the portal taketh a little bit too much. Washington State getting the news that a lot of people were feeling was coming down the pipeline. Quarterback John Mateer has entered the transfer portal. That sucks, and that is awful. And Coach Jake Dickert is taking it in stride, and he addressed the media today as they get ready for a bowl game on the process, what Mateer said, and what we're all feeling.
You know, met with John last night. Came back from his sister's graduation, had a lot of good family time. And we talked about that last week on Friday. He has to make a big decision for his life, and college football is in a different place than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, however we remember it. You know, John will be the most sought-after player in the portal. I think he's going to be the best player in the country next year, and he informed us that he is, in fact, going to hit the portal. Biggest thing for our program is it proves, once again, our process is working. Our process is working. Right? We're offering a bunch of kids that have no other Power 5 offers. We're developing into something really, really special. And I've said a lot about things the last couple of weeks. You know, I talked in signing day about the recruiting calendar being messed up and we got to change it. You know, I talked last Friday, you know, there's $800 million of new Power 4, you know, rev share money that's infiltrated into the system right now. And, you know, backups at that level are getting 50 to 100,000. So college football is in a little bit of a weird place.
He's the number one quarterback in the portal now by almost everybody that's out there. John Mateer is a dude, a bona fide. And him entering the portal was to be expected. I know that a lot of Coug fans were holding on that hope that he would stick around. But let's unpack this here real quick. Do you know where John Mateer is from?
I do not.
Yeah. So he is a native of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, about 2.5 hours from the University of Oklahoma.
Mm.
Do you know where his offensive coordinator is now?
Where did Arbuckle go?
The University of Oklahoma.
Oh.
When Ben Arbuckle left there, I mean, that makes it, it's a connection, right? These quarterbacks, if your head coach is not your play caller,
mm-hmm.
You're just as committed to your offensive coordinator as you are your head coach or anybody else in that program. Guys aren't committing to schools anymore, and I've been saying this for years. Like, that is long gone. Yeah. You're committed to a coach, or you're committed to yourself in the bag.
I mean, why does Bo Nix go to Oregon?
Kenny Dillingham.
I mean, it's pretty clear the way this stuff kind of works itself out. You look at it across the country, and those are the lines that get drawn. Like, that's the guy. You've talked about this plenty. Like, most head coaches aren't spending all this time with quarterbacks anymore. Like, that's not the thing anymore. It's the coordinator. Mm-hmm. That's the relationship that gets built, and it's now there are some instances where that, you know, the coordinator is the head coach. Jackson Dart, do you see what he said about Lane Kiffin?
No,
called Lane Kiffin his best friend.
Yeah,
it's like. Yeah, because they spend an inordinate amount of time together because Lane Kiffin runs the offense for Ole Miss.
He's the play caller.
He's the play caller. And so like that's where that relationship comes from. And it's if you see one of those guys move on and a quarterback has some time left, where do they go? I mean, look at Penix and DeBoer. Like, you know, like, you see these things happen all the time. There is a relationship that is built that is more than football.
There is something else that Jake Dickert said in that I want to highlight to start the top of the next hour, though. Because this move for John Mateer, it does make sense. But so many other things just don't. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
For more than
From the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, NFL Week 15 wraps up with a Monday Night Football 2-game slate. First up, Bears at the Vikings. 5 o'clock kick on ABC. The Vikings are 7-point favorites. Then at 5:30 on ESPN, it's the Falcons in Vegas against the Raiders. The Falcons are 6-point road favorites. Lions head coach Dan Campbell says running back David Montgomery will have season-ending knee surgery for a torn MCL after being injured in yesterday's loss to the Bills. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reports Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes has been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain. He's considered week to week. NFL Network also reporting the 49ers suspending linebacker Devondre Campbell 3 games for conduct detrimental to the team. This after refusing to enter Thursday night's game against the Rams. Over on the hard court, after a loss last night in Phoenix to the Suns, the Blazers off until Thursday when they host the Nuggets, losers of 6 straight and 10 of their last 12. Portland now 8-18 on the season. That's the 3rd worst record in the West and 7th worst in the league. And we got some college hoops tonight on 910 ESPN Portland. The Pilots hosting my Willamette Bearcats. Here's a deep cut. Shout out to mid-90s stars RJ Adelman, rest in peace, and DeRay Thurgill. Pre-game coverage at 6:30, tip at 7 with swag on the call. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
All right, my rock smashes your scissors. Oh, no, not these scissors, pal. This is a special titanium steel alloy developed by NASA for the space program. These scissors that smash your rock to smithereens. No, not this rack. This rack happens to be kryptonite.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
Hey, what's happening, Norm?
It's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
No!
The Fan.
All right, hour number 2. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours, whether it's on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, or you're one of the YouTube party people who, YouTube, I haven't checked this chat. Apparently the chat is something today.
It goes places.
Must be a Monday.
It's a big Blazers chat in there today.
A big Blazers chat in there
Yes.
today. We'll talk some Blazers coming up. I'm not sure.
They technically play basketball.
Yes, technically.
Yeah.
There was basketball played.
They're basketballing.
We'll see if Jeff Rush still thinks that they're winning too much.
Ooh, that's a tease for later. Nope, don't want to hear it now, Jeff. We've got other things that
I've only had it in my update, but you know.
I want to get your thoughts on that later. I want to start out number 2 with something that we're seeing, and Jake Dickert talked about it in his comments on John Mateer, his star quarterback and the number 1 quarterback in the portal right now, entering the transfer portal. He said that the timing of everything is just so off in the world of college football. And he is so right. You know, whether it is like what we talked about, signing day for high school kids being the week of conference championship games, that's lunacy.
I mean, we brought on
stupid.
Andrew Namick literally in the middle of prepping for Big Ten championship week. Like, it was just, it doesn't, like, what is the culmination of your regular season is happening at the culmination of the biggest day for your recruiting cycle.
And so coaches have to worry about, all right, we're trying to get a first-round bye in the college football playoff. We're trying to build our roster for the future as well, and we have to do this at the same time. You want to talk about, you know, Ron Swanson told Leslie Knope one time on the great show Parks and Rec, you know, don't half-ass 2 things when you can full-ass 1, right? And they're literally asking their coaches to do just that.
I never realized I stole that from him.
Now you have, in the college football playoff teams, you got Bo Perbula from Penn State. He has entered the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State will not have their backup quarterback who they play situationally during the college football playoff run. because Perbula is put in a place that Drew Aller comes out and says today, I'm coming back for 2025. Didn't know he was going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, where were you going to go, dude?
Apparently the NFL.
West Virginia?
But Drew Aller comes out, I'm returning, I'm coming back, and Perbula's like, well, I got to go find somewhere that I'm going to play because I have to have my best interests in mind too, because the transfer portal is open leading up to the college football playoff. Penn State plays a game on Saturday in the college football playoff where it's snowing. Yes.
Love to see it.
But he's not going to be in the lineup. He won't be there.
What was an interesting one is...
God forbid something happens to Drew Aller and they need a backup quarterback.
Did you know with Cam Ward's NIL deal, his NIL deal required him to play in the bowl game?
Well, okay. And there's a lot of people like, well, that's pay for play. No, it's your name, image, and likeness being
tied to.
Well, it's being promoted by a bowl game.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that makes sense. And I guarantee that's why you're going to see all the Colorado players playing in that game too.
Because the branding behind it matters to the people that are paying you that money.
Yeah, because
it's a national game.
And more people watch bowl games because there's nothing on TV. Yeah. So,
but it's
as much as we make fun of them, people still watch
them.
As
much as we hear about the people opting out of bowl games, the NIL tie could actually be a thing that keeps them in bowl games. Now you're going to get some ones that are opting out for the NFL. Yep. Those ones, I think, you're looking at that and you're going, I don't care. I'm going to the NFL. Like we're the running back for Michigan. Was it Edwards?
Loveland did it.
Loveland too.
He's opted out tight end. Yeah,
but so is the running back. And those guys are. I mean, Loveland's going to be probably the second tight end off the board.
Yeah,
probably. So,
maybe third.
Yeah. But
dude from Bowling Green is ridiculous too. So you got Tyler Warren, you got Loveland, and then you have the Bowling Green
big monster. But again, they're gonna get good money.
Yeah,
they're fine.
Yeah,
but dare I say, NIL is actually a good thing.
It is good
in that respect. On top of it,
100%.
It's good for the players. Again, I am not anti NIL for anybody who has that understanding at all. I am pro NIL. Pay the guys they deserve the money.
Paid some on his monies.
But also, this might actually be an added benefit of keeping most rosters together through the bowl season. You and I have talked about this a ton off air. Your proposition is to close up windows and move things around to where they make significantly more sense for schools and programs, and in a roundabout way for players, because the idea that you're supposed to be doing this while teams are also shuffling and preparing for bowl games and trying to figure out who's leaving, who's going, it doesn't make any sense. Let's move the window till after bowl season.
Well, this is what should happen. They should have a signing period before fall camp starts. So kids that want to sign know where they want to go and they are locked in. They can go through their senior year and they're locked in, done. I'm out. That's a very small portion of those guys. But there are a lot of them that coaches are like, cool, we got him, we're locked in, we got a guy. Your signing period for high school kids should have been last week. It should have been last week. And if Army-Navy, if there's anybody like, well, what about Army-Navy? They're preparing for the most important game of their season. The kids that they recruit are not the same.
Yeah, they're
the same.
They're going there.
Yeah.
Because, again,
no.
Let's go back to Army-Navy real quick. Do you know what the acceptance rate is at those academies?
Very little.
It's 10%.
Yeah. That seems high.
Okay, that's 10%, but that's 10% of people who get a letter of recommendation from a sitting senator.
Yeah.
So it's a very small number.
So you have, they shouldn't be in this equation, but you put it after conference championship weekend. Then the portal opens after the bowl season is over. There is no open portal until the end of bowl season. Okay? That should be a no-brainer in the world of college football.
If you're gonna do the Bear Alexander and red shirt and take your time, you can wait the other couple weeks until the end of bowl season.
Then you open up another portal at the end of spring football.
Yeah.
So once spring football is open, you have about a 30-day window where portal is open again. Those should be the only 2 times the portal is ever open in college football.
I like it.
I mean, you get a 30-day window after the season is over. You can put your name in, you can go, and then you have a 30-day window after spring ball is over. And because for a lot of these guys, after spring ball, you get a sense of what the pecking order is, and you have guys that got to make hard decisions. After that, that should be your only 2 portal opportunities, and they should not hinder your current situation.
No.
Because this is like in the Bo Prabula situation, like he's looking out for his best interest because he has to enter the portal now for all of the teams that are not in the college football playoff that are looking for a quarterback. And he wants to have his first pick of places that he wants to go, because so his hand is kind of forced into doing this
because he's looking for the NIL opportunities. He's looking for the starting job opportunity,
and he's looking for a good situation.
All of those things that you're looking for, and if you wait, teams are looking to fill very quickly because of all of the things that we just outlined.
I mean, it was a surprising one. We saw Marion Winston enter the transfer portal from Oregon. Like, they're in a college football playoff run. Marion Winston, he played an incredible game against Ohio State. He has been such a big piece of what Oregon has done defensively this year. But he's got to make his decisions too, and sometimes, the schools are making the tough decisions, and they're having to make them right now. And they have those conversations with their players during bye weeks and as the season goes on of how they're feeling, where they're at, where their head's at, and all that stuff. The portal is completely screwed up. It is good for college football players to have the ability for movement. I do believe that. But the way the calendar is set up is so broken, and they need to fix it, and they need to fix it quickly.
And here's the thing. I don't think either the players, the administrators, or the coaches like it the way that it currently is.
No.
So this shouldn't be something, when you're talking about like whether or not it's equitable to do something one way or the other. I think everyone would agree that the general proposition of what we have here is good for everyone.
Yeah. The people in charge of college football just need to shut up and fix an easy problem to fix.
Because you don't need Charlie Baker and the NCAA to come do this for you. You have the coaches, and you have you got to be careful with this because they don't want the players union to happen. But you have the players, like you reach out to the players and be like, guys, do you want this? Because we can all come together and we can just agree to this. We can make this happen as long as everybody gets in on this. The problem is then you get to what Boise State's head coach was talking about with the illegal pilfering of his players.
I mean, I think that we heard that from Trent Bray too at Oregon State, where he said, teams have been contacting our guys in the portal.
I don't think they're whining.
No, they're just stating
like, "Hey guys, and again,
the truth."
I think
it really is. It's harder to prove too because it's
agents.
Remember, collectives aren't parts of the university, and agents are not the player themselves, and players have agents. Schools have collectives. It's a messy web that they've created, but you can really solve a pretty easy problem by making your calendar make sense. All right. Let's talk about, you mentioned it, the Blazers at basketball.
They did.
They basketballed. No 40-point losses.
No.
Like at all. I mean,
competitive
and respectful.
Competitive and mildly competitive losses.
That's what we want to see. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Oregon.
right, before we get to the Blazers, we did have a texter saying that one thing that the NCAA does say is they say the portal is open now, so they have time to register for all their classes. That is a cop-out that the NCAA needs to remedy very quickly.
Yeah.
And that is the reason.
We're still trying to pretend it's about academics.
Well, that's the reason that they do use, because fall terms end and then you need to get into whether. But here's the other thing. It's a cop-out because you have schools that are on the semesters, schools that are on trimesters. Transferring is an S show anyways, and they all end at different times.
Well, in between
school starts at different times.
Between semesters and quarters, it's like a full month difference.
Yes. And what is going to make this an easy fix, the Alston case, when it gets finalized in April, it is essentially going to make athletes employees, right? And when that happens, that will make it it'll clear up a lot of the hurdles of the calendar. They just need to figure this thing out because it's a mess right now. All right, the hometown team, the Portland Trailblazers, Friday and yesterday had a pair of games after a long layoff. 2-point loss to the Spurs, 118-116. Bob on the YouTube chat said, just don't come on here and say that was a good loss on Friday. That was a brutal. And that one was on the coach, in my opinion, as he made some terrible decisions in the fourth quarter of that one. I will not make you happy, Bob. Good loss. I mean, I think those coaching ones, you don't want to win it.
Yeah, no.
I'm okay with it.
It's the holistic air quotes good loss. But
yeah.
No, I mean there's a couple different ways to slice this, and this is the same thing. I mentioned this in the postgame. It's the same thing I said about Terry. I'll say about Chauncey. The Blazers have that 46-point third quarter, one of the best quarters, frankly, they've had in franchise history. They go absolutely bonkers. Jeremy Grant goes for 22.
That was fun to see.
You know,
in the third quarter, too. Yeah. Blazers being good in the third quarter?
Crazy.
What?
Denny Avdija has 11 in the quarter, goes 5 of 5. Like a million good things are happening, right? They go from being down 10 to up. And I'll say this, like I said, I'd say it for Terry, I'll say it for Chauncey, I'll say it for every coach. Does he get the credit for getting that there, or does he get the blame for blowing it down the stretch? Because it's both. But nobody ever wants to do the former. They always want to do the latter. You know, nobody wants to talk about, getting the credit for building up a lead. They want to, give the blame for losing it. And it was a bad loss because they were up 17.
Bad loss.
I don't think you can point to the micro stuff of like, did Chauncey challenging the call on Jeremy, was that a bad call? Yes. But you know what you also could have done in between there? A million different things. Hit a shot down the stretch, for the love of God.
Yeah, I was going to say, a team that doesn't make shots at all.
I mean,
we've gone over this so many times. They're one of the worst 2-point shooting teams in the entire NBA.
And the other part of this is, and I will say this on every single night, sometimes you can just give credit to an opponent. Wemby was great.
No, I don't want to do that.
Devin Vassell was great. Julian Champagnie was great in the fourth quarter.
I'm not used to saying that Victor Wembanyama was great.
Right. But you can also say that Chauncey did absolutely get that wrong. Because there was a 0% chance he was going to get that. That call was not getting overturned. It was a dumb call. It's a call that doesn't get made.
Yeah.
Like it's a very ticky-tack call that you don't normally see made at that point during the game. But the second it's made, you just got to send it. You just deal with it, and Vic hits the free throws. They would have tied it or gone up 2. I can't remember what that was on Friday night. But competitive in the game. They go from being down 10 to being up 17 to 27-point swing. Which, if you can get a 27-point swing, so can your opponent.
Yeah.
That's like the modern NBA.
Game of runs, baby.
That's just kind of what this is. It doesn't dismiss anything or uplift anything. It's just that's kind of what it is. Like. But would you have liked to get a win there? Because you're now, after Sunday's game, you lose to the Suns. You've now lost 6 straight. Like, this is what we talk about. Like, do you want to be the team like the Wizards who loses 16 in a row, which the Blazers play the Nuggets and the Mavs over the next 2 games. You think they're winning those games? Probably not. I mean, the Nuggets aren't very good, but also they're better than the Blazers. But, I mean, this is where I was like, just chill on are the Blazers winning too many games stuff. They are 8-18. Where we talked about, like, I think through their first 30 games, they're going to win 7 or 8 games. If they lose their next 2 games, Dusty,
Yep.
they're 8-20, and you're right there. You're right. Even though they won those early games, they're still right on pace for kind of what everybody expected. And because they had a couple things go their way, they've now had a couple things maybe not go their way, and they're probably balanced out with where we expect things to be.
I will say that this team is like, they've had a couple of the inexcusable losses, right? We've talked about
God,
this.
yes.
Overall, though, what we've seen is a team that is far more competitive, and I think that's what we saw in the last 2 games. And then yesterday against the Suns,
They just get out-talented.
yeah, and that is going to happen. I mean, and this goes to, if you have problems with Chauncey Billups as the coach, look, I'm okay with the folks that want to sit there and say coaching is a problem, coaching is an issue. I will also come to bat for Chauncey Billups and say, when you have a talent deficiency, that is an issue. What we are seeing is we're seeing players improve. With the exception of maybe Scoot in the development that we have not seen from him, we've seen a lot of growth from a lot of young players, and guys are still playing hard. They're just not going to win a lot of games because they're just not very good.
No, I mean...
And if you want to put a little bit of that coach, like on Friday night, sure, go ahead. But you won't find a coach in the NBA that doesn't have some of those games. Even the best coaches in the NBA has games where their fan base comes at them and says, that was a stupid decision.
I mean,
what were you doing?
Spo and Kerr have both had like full-on meltdowns.
And that doesn't mean that Chauncey Billups is Spo or Kerr. No. But you know what it means? They all have them.
Yeah.
This team has a talent deficiency. So when you have a coaching decision that goes the wrong way, it is amplified.
Yes.
And
look,
Chauncey, right.
Chauncey Billups has not been great on challenging calls.
No.
It's just not.
Turns out not a lot of coaches are.
No, very, very, very few are.
Yeah.
The ones who do get it right, man, they do it really well, though.
Yeah.
Like they do.
Right.
Quinn Snyder's a guy that does that.
That's a weekend I'm not going to be discouraged about, though.
No.
Lose by 2, then lose by 5.
Yeah, they closed it up. It was
or 6, 7.
The margin was tighter than the actual game was because the Blazers hit a couple threes to close the gap and make
lost by 7.
Kind of a fake run.
But you know what? That's fine. That's what I want to see, though. I want to see the fake runs against good teams where it's a respectable number at the end. I'm okay losing by 7.
That's fair.
It
makes it look better, certainly, for sure. On the kind of the growth curve stuff, Donovan comes back. Rob Williams comes back. Like, you're getting the opportunities for those guys. Denny Avdia has been really good now for the last probably 3 weeks. You're seeing the version of him that the Blazers envisioned when they traded for him.
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant is finding his game. Anthony Simons is finding his game. Even though Shaden Sharp. That was definitely
I heard it.
Yep, that happened.
I heard it.
Even though Shaden Sharp's 3-point shooting has struggled, the aggressiveness has started to show a little bit at times, which is that's the drum I've been beating all season of like, look, man, everybody gets frustrated and Ant takes too many shots. Jeremy takes too many shots. Like, there are shots there for Shaden Sharp to take. He needs to take them. He needs to be more aggressive. And you're starting to see a little bit of that, like a little bit of an inkling of that. So that's kind of something to monitor.
One thing that we probably need to start talking about here, you and I had some interesting conversations with guys from other markets.
Oh, yes.
And then after the shot that he made on Saturday, is Dylan Harper maybe the best player in college basketball? I think we should have that on Tuesday. We got a lot of football today. But dude's averaging 24 a game.
Yeah, he's really good. That's why I've got him number 2 on my board. And maybe another one we could talk about. There's been some news, rumory mill stuff around Zion Williamson and whether or not maybe the Blazers should kick around the idea of swapping Zion for DA.
Makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, the NBA is going to get real weird.
So cool. So great.
Speaking of getting real weird, it's time for our worst day on the web. And it's a tale as old as time. In a relationship, is your food your food? But first, here's the Big Kuno with Sports Center Update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Stanford's. This classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tanasbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, NFL Week 15 wraps up with a Monday Night Football 2-game slate. First up, Bears at the Vikings. 5 o'clock kick on ABC. The Vikings are 7-point favorites. Then at 5:30 on ESPN, it's the Falcons in Vegas against the Raiders. The Falcons are 6-point road favorites. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes Diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain, he's considered week to week. NFL Network also reporting the 49ers suspending linebacker Devondre Campbell 3 games for conduct detrimental to the team after refusing to enter Thursday night's game against the Rams. And Lions head coach Dan Campbell says running back David Montgomery will have season-ending knee surgery for a torn MCL after being injured in yesterday's loss to the Bills. After a loss last night in Phoenix to the Suns, the Blazers now off until Thursday. That's when they host the Nuggets. Losers of 6 straight and 10 of their last 12. Portland now 8-18 on the season. And some college hoops tonight on 910 ESPN Portland. The Pilots hosting the Willamette Bearcats. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30, tip at 7 o'clock with Swag on the call. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks!
Today's worst day on the web comes from the world of Reddit. The the bleep hole.
Oh, all right. I love these. These are great.
They are great, and it's a tale as old as time. We are all married men. I'm sure we have, in one way or another, experienced some side of this debate and or discussion at some point in our lives, and we all have either been on the wrong side or the wronged side of this.
Oh.
And the gist of it is a gentleman and his wife. My
wife.
The husband is the buyer of groceries, and his wife likes to eat a lot of fruit. So he keeps it very stocked, very often, with apples, peaches, figs, plums, whatever's in season. And right now it's persimmon season.
Okay.
Which I can't say that I've never had a persimmon.
This is very interesting because I have not, but Mike Jorgensen, color analyst for the Oregon Ducks.
Persimmon guy?
No, he stumbled upon like one of the routes that he goes on his walk on. They have persimmons, and one of the people gave him a persimmon, and I have not gotten the feedback on how good the persimmon was or was not.
I could not tell you what a persimmon looks like.
I learned about these just the other day.
It looks like a cross between a orange, tomato,
yeah,
and a cucumber kind
Okay.
of like. There's a lot of things going on here.
So this is what it is described as, and it is kind of like a tomato look, but also like a little bit more of a fruit consistency, like a traditional fruit consistency. Don't text in. Tomato is a fruit. I know, but like a normal fruit consistency, right? Like a
Not mush.
almost like a yeah. It's like a almost more orangey.
Citrusy.
Yeah. Some say the taste is a cross between a mango and a roasted sweet pepper with hints of cinnamon and dates.
Like there's a lot going on here.
Others say it's
There
a
is a lot
combination
going
of
on there.
cantaloupe and apricots, but without the tang. So
Okay, that one makes more sense.
But yeah, no, like I said,
They
there's
have
a lot going on here.
they have a honey-like flavor and a silky texture to them.
Yeah, that didn't help either.
I'm thinking more of like a plum texture
Okay.
with the mango roasted sweet pepper kind of taste.
Does the persimmon taste at all like the country club?
No. I don't know.
Depends where you start. Okay, now with persimmons out of the mind, out of the picture here, because I don't think it's net. It doesn't really apply here. It does to an extent, but the long and short of it is, the wife basically blew through 2 batches of them. The husband put his aside in like another bowl because he likes his to ripen, and they are not something that go bad quick. They take a little while, like to get a little more fruity or nutty or whatever the taste palette is. And so after he's already gotten her 2 batches that she has eaten through, he was eating one, and he asked her if she would like a bite. And she said, "No, I'll just go get my own." To which he said, "No, those are mine.
Oh.
I have aged them to the way that I like them. You have already eaten 2 batches."
Let's say how long these people have been married for.
For a while.
I was going to go with not long, but
Whoa.
or for not much longer.
Yikes.
But she got upset, and this has been my thing our whole marriage, that I designate food as mine and that all food should be anyone's to eat if that person wants it at that moment. He said, personally, I disagree with this. I live my life leaving her what is hers, whether it's half of the leftovers, a half piece of cake, or whatever. I don't just eat things. I consider her.
Wait, but that sounded like 2 different statements. Did I not just hear that she says that what's hers is hers and then what's his is also mine?
Yeah, but I mean
that's also marriage.
Yes, that's exactly what he is saying. He does not like this.
Just checking.
He goes, I do my best to make sure that she has what she likes around. If I do accidentally eat the entirety of something she wanted, I hear it. Believe me. Am I the bleep hole for keeping some fruit to myself? To which I say no. Stand your ground, sweet prince.
Oh, this is a tough. But
we're just talking fruit.
Hold on.
No. It's not even. It's look. If there's something in particular that you like a certain way, Like,
but I think his bigger issue here is what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine.
Yes.
Like that, and that's the crux of the issue here. And that should not be, if this needs to be a two-way street, if it's the whole we share it all.
But also, he doesn't like, and he calls that out, he doesn't like the stuff that she likes.
So then what's the problem here?
Because
she likes the stuff that he does.
Yeah, that's like she likes all of it. He only likes his stuff, and so he's getting irritated because his I'll give you my.
So she's coming and eating his stuff. He's not eating her stuff. She's eating his stuff.
Correct.
All right, I'm gonna go get that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wish I would have left that one cleaner for you.
It's okay. I think it'll be all right.
No, I think so too. Also, that
here.
also sounds like most relationships.
Yeah.
But my personal one is I like hummus.
Okay.
That's like my snack.
I believe it's called hummus.
Or I will get a very spicy chips and salsa brand, and it's not that my wife will eat the hummus or the salsa, it's that she will either take my pita bread or my tortilla chips, and she will finish them, and I'm like, I have nothing to eat my little snack that I like. Like, could you not do that?
Boy, that seems like that's just a lack of the communication here.
Oh, no. It's been communicated to the point where I started moving a bag of chips to a place that she would not look for that.
Well, what I didn't want to say was lack of communication would be the first step into, this seems like a lack of respect here.
Oh.
And this isn't a food sharing issue here. That's not what this is.
No, she's like, well, I was hungry. I wanted that snack. And I'm like, no, that's mine now.
Well, knowing how petty you are, how often do you just revenge eat something that is hers?
Regularly.
Okay. So now you guys have set this as, even though you want it the other way, you can't go back, because your retort would be, I don't do this to you. And she would be like, yeah, you do. Because you are a multiple petty Olympic gold medalist. I mean, this has been something we talk about often.
And look, I'll be the opposite of this guy, where he won't eat the things that he doesn't like.
Yeah.
I may not even like it.
This is, in all honesty here, I mean, this is one of the perks of my wife becoming a vegan, is that I don't have these issues at all anymore. It is like all right, well, kind of a free-for-all for you, you know? And all the things that I like, you just don't even eat anymore. She does eat chicken now, though.
Oh!
So, yeah. She's
Is
been doing that for a while.
Is that pescatarian? Or is that fish?
No, that's just fish.
Okay.
My wife does not do labels, apparently, because she is a vegan that I don't know that eats chicken, and that's really it.
I will define my diet on the day that I feel it.
Yeah, we need
which is fine. Hey,
yeah,
you know what?
Yeah, no, it's just,
and especially don't argue with a Russian about that.
No, I don't know. It's not even like dietary restrictions either. It's just like, if she eats red meat, if she eats dairy, like, she doesn't
feel good.
Like feel good, right? So it's like there's no like allergies or like true restrictions. It's like, no, I just feel better eating this way, and chicken doesn't bother her, so she eats chicken, which is great. So I have my grilling is back on, baby.
Anytime you pull out the oxtails, you know you're safe.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, because
well, you never had oxtail?
No, nor have I. And, yeah. No, listen.
No.
I understand. Listen, I understand what you're trying to say, but you have to realize that oxtail is something that I'm going to guess about 5% of the population in this country is eating.
It's way more than that, buddy. You get down to the South, that changes drastically. I was just going to say, I'm not going to shame you. I'm just going to bring some in.
Because like I see it when I watch like Chopped and stuff.
We're going to do some oxtail.
Or little guys.
It's not like I'm asking you to go full like Xavier Leggett and ask you to eat raccoon. We're going to bring some oxtail.
What I think the issue here is that you went so far off the grid. You could have said steak, and you said you went.
Oxtail. I was going for exotic meat. I was going to go maybe some elk backstraps.
You can go with like even a short rib.
No, I mean, it's like you could have just left it at beef or pork, and that would have been fine. But you went oxtail, and I think that just caught us all off guard there, you know?
Fair.
And totally on brand. Right on brand.
You know.
It's right on brand. Yeah.
But where are we falling on this in general?
Let's see.
Are you allowed to have your own food? Because I am a yes.
Yes, as long as it's a two-way street.
Yes.
As long as it is a two-way street, that's normal. It's fine. Totally fine. But when you go down the no, I get all of it and you don't get all of it, that's where you're like, no, that ain't the game we're playing here.
Danny's gonna have a rude awakening when he has kids.
No, like my wife,
everything is theirs.
Yeah, my wife keeps candy in the house. Like she likes a sweet treat every now and then. I don't really eat candy. It's not my jam. It's just,
I like candy.
Right. So I always I use that as my chaos grenade that I throw in there. I'm like, look, I'm not eating your candy. I'm not eating your sweets. Like, leave my savory stuff alone.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I will leave my wife's Swedish fish alone because those are like chewing on candle wax, almost like Twizzlers.
Wow, perfectly segued. Swedish fish, one of my favorite candies.
I agree. Swedish fish are delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are.
I love the fishes because they are so delicious.
That's goldfish.
I know, but
also delicious.
Have you ever noticed?
I
that
like
every
both
fish,
of those fish over most other fishes.
I was just say, the fish-related treats or fish-adjacent treats are better than fish.
I don't know. Like salmon's pretty.
Okay,
dope,
I feel like this needs to
it's
take
really
a good deep dive here to figure out how we're trying to differentiate things in terms of the fish versus fish treats and whatnot. Smoked salmon is delightful.
It is. I mean, it's good.
Smoked salmon
Smoked
is
tuna.
delightful. But so is Swedish fish and Pepperidge Farm goldfish.
There's an old Guy Fieri fish recipe that we found. It's a
you really dressed up the mayor of Flavortown's last name.
That's how he says it, so that's how I say it. I'm not gonna tell him how to pronounce his own name.
Ooh, on the
it's a whitefish like halibut, I believe. It's a tater nugget crusted like halibut.
Dang.
So you take like the tater tots, you let them thaw out, and you mix in some soy sauce and
let's go.
Hoisin with it. You mix it in with that, you crust it, and you put it on one side, and you fry on one side and fry on the other. Oh, it's delightful.
It does sound pretty good.
It's super good.
This is the Petty Olympics gold medal right here, which I wouldn't do it to my wife because it could be crippling. But my buddy's roommate gets drunk and eats all his salsa. He went to Pepper Palace and got some nuclear salsa. Problem solved.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah,
yikes. That's the problem with having roommates, man. Like roommate wars were real. That's why.
The true violation is workplace violence.
Workplace food. There is
taking somebody else's food. That is a diabolical.
That is just it should be grounds for firing.
Yes, or a good beating.
Should be grounds for firing.
Wall-to-wall counseling.
I feel like it's like you take that person out, just like an office space out into the field, like that printer, where they just beat the S out of it. And damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
We do have a room here with no cameras.
Yeah.
You take my lunch, that's what you get.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
All right,
damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Look, I'm not.
Just see Joey and Sook disappear into a room.
I'm not stealing anybody's food, so I'll approve of it. God, all right.
See, exactly. That's the whole thing. Is like that's what keeps you from stealing somebody else's food.
That's what separates us from savages.
Like chopping someone's hand off if they steal from you.
Yeah, you do it in public square. Have one of the sales guys come out with just a black eye.
What happened to you? Potato chips.
Yeah. You want to think about that again, Cooley?
It could get worse, though. It's going to get worse, though, when the guy's taking his lumps and he's like, it was worth it. It was a brownie was worth it, man. And you just get that rage beating's going to turn into murder.
So, somebody had like Lou Malnati's flown in from Chicago because you can do that now. Bring in the leftovers and be like, it was worth it. Yeah. That deep dish pizza was worth it.
I still wonder, how does that kind of thing, like, is it dry ice?
Dry ice.
Is that how they ship it?
Yep.
That's just, because it still seems like a long time.
They put it on Express. It's the same day delivery with dry ice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did it for a friend of mine. I've never had it done, but I did it for him when he moved back. So yeah, it's a fun little thing.
Because like I know that like even with the old Alpenrose delivery, when it gets to summertime and it's hot, they'll ask you to be like, hey, do you want us to drop off some dry ice with it to keep it cool for you?
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
That is nice.
That's handy.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, the world of college football is getting interesting, and does basically every NFL player think they can go back and coach? Turns out, might be true. Danny and Dusty, today, the Fan.
He's not eating her stuff. She's
Correct.
eating his stuff.
Some more interesting news in the college football head coach hiring cycle as it pushes through into the depths of winter. Bill Belichick wasn't really a surprising hire in my mind. It was one of those ones that felt like it was being flagged for a while. Mm-hmm. This one jumped out and went, I'm sorry, what? Michael Vick, yes, that Michael Vick, was a candidate or is a candidate to be the head coach at Norfolk State 3 hours ago. An hour ago, he is now a head coach now a potential head coach at Sacramento State.
What?
So he went from Norfolk State to Sacramento State in the matter of 2 hours. This is a man who has never coached football in his life. He played it at a very high level, was very successful in college, pretty damn successful in the NFL, bottomed out about as bad as you can bottom out, and came back and had a mild redemption arc. But Sacramento State is the really interesting one here because they are going from the FCS to the FBS, and they have a $50 million cash infusion, and they are looking to make a splash. Dusty, what the hell is going on?
I have no idea. That Vic is an interesting one. The guy who was widely criticized early in his NFL career for not knowing how to watch film or watching it at all, not regarded as a student of the game, as a player. We saw that as his career went on, he's been very open about it. Like, yeah, that was a whiff. I didn't know what I was doing. And he started so far behind the eight ball, but the experience that he had in the NFL is, I mean, that's invaluable. I mean, that's like basically what Michael Vick did was he got into medical school with not even taking a biology class. I don't know how you do that. And yet Michael Vick he was such a freakish
Was this at
athlete.
UNC?
Huh?
Was this at UNC?
Virginia Tech.
I know.
Go, they're UNC fake majors. I see what you did there.
There we go.
His pass, though, wow. That's probably the more surprising part about this is that Michael Vick went to prison. Now, going to prison is not like it should not be something that takes you out of having a life and having success after you get done. And there's one thing that Michael Vick has done. He's tried to do a lot to reshape and reform his image and show remorse for what he did. But the surprising part is that multiple universities are in on this saying, no, that will not be an issue with our administration, our alumni, and our boosters. We're willing to take that leap on Michael Vick because, like, Deion Sanders, him getting into coaching, everybody was like, well, I mean, he was a high school coach. He always said he wanted to, was regarded as very high football IQ guy as a player.
It wasn't just like, yeah, I'm the most insane athlete on the face of the planet. It was
It was that and a lot more. And no issues off the field like that with Deion. Like, he never went to prison for dogfighting.
No, showboating and acting a fool, sure. But like it's very LeBron-esque, like the missteps of like polarization, sure.
The great player turning into a coach is not the surprising part.
No.
The surprising part with Vic, and really it coming out of left field too. Like that, and that's the thing with Deion is like he got the Jackson State job, and he was like saying, no, I want to be Power 5 coach back at that time, Power 5. I want to be Power 5 coach. Everybody's like, dude, you haven't done this before. Like, go coach somewhere else. And then he went to Jackson State, had great success there. He parlays that into the Colorado job, and he's done a really good job there. I mean, there's no way that you can say Deion has not done a good job at Colorado. Has a damn Heisman Trophy winner, which is an individual stat, not a team stat, but also a 9-3 team. They were awful.
And likely the number one pick.
Yeah.
So like if you're saying, and they went from maybe one of the worst 130 teams in college football to a respectable program, I'd argue, despite all of his stepping in it last year, he's exceeded expectations.
But I think with Deion Sanders, that was a charismatic person who, when Deion speaks, man, he speaks like a preacher. Like, he is so good in front of people. And
that's not Vic.
You may not like his leadership style, but Deion is a leader, and people will follow Deion Sanders. And Michael Vick, like that's the thing, is that he's not nearly as dynamic as Deion Sanders is as a person and a speaker and a motivator. That's why this is all surprising to see Vic come out and just out of nowhere become a NFL head coach. I don't know. It is a little bit surprising though. Two different schools. I mean, they're not powerhouses by any means, but Sacramento State has been really damn good in the Big Sky over the last handful of years. I mean, Troy Taylor did a really good job there before he took that Stanford job. And they're trying to make a big step up, and they're trying to make a big splash, and this is one way that you can do it, apparently. And, wow, I'm surprised.
In the coming out of nowhere, I read the Norfolk State one. I was like, all right, Norfolk State.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Close to home.
That regionally makes sense.
Yeah, it was like, all right, it's close to home. It's not a big time
Sac State?
program.
Nope.
Sac State, a school looking to go from FCS to FBS, building a new 25,000 seat stadium, getting a $50 million injection of cash into their NIL fund. Like that seemed like, look, that's a splashy hire, certainly, but like, is that necessarily the one that you want to make?
The Hornets and the Spartans. Those are the mascots, by the way.
All right.
You're not. Boy, that is that one really is surprising. Usually you get like a feel or you have a vibe, like you said. When it came to Belichick, it was like, yeah, he just wants to coach.
Yeah.
Dude just wants to coach and die. That is all Bill Belichick wants to do. This one I did not see coming, and I don't know what he's done.
In the meantime,
he's done some work. He's done some like NFL Network stuff. But yeah, I did not see him coaching.
It's a weird one. Speaking of weird ones, there was a very, very, very weird NFL game between the Bengals and Titans that we will talk about. And by weird, I mean it's the ugliest thing you may have ever seen. But also, we've got Jalen Hurts and the Eagles getting a little sassy. We'll get to that here in hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Redtail Golf Center's holiday sale going on now with up to 50% off all your holiday golfing needs. Redtail Golf Center, where we guarantee the lowest holiday prices. Visit us at golfredtail.com. First on the Fan, Week 15 in the NFL wraps up with a Monday Night Football 2-game slate. First up, the Bears at the Vikings. 5 o'clock kick on ABC. The Vikings are 7-point favorites. Then at 5:30 on ESPN, it's the Falcons in Vegas against the Raiders. The Falcons are 6-point road favorites. Lions head coach Dan Campbell says running back David Montgomery will have season-ending knee surgery for a torn MCL after being injured in yesterday's loss to the Bills. NFL Network reporting the 49ers suspending linebacker Devondre Campbell 3 games for conduct detrimental to the team after refusing to enter Thursday night's game against the Rams. And Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain. He is considered week to week. In the NBA, after a loss last night in Phoenix to the Suns, the Blazers are off until Thursday when they host the Nuggets. Losers of 6 straight and 10 of their last 12. Portland now 8-18. That's the 3rd worst record in the West and 7th worst in the league. We got some college hoops tonight on 910 ESPN. Portland Pilots hosting the Willamette Bearcats. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30, tip at 7 o'clock with Jason Swigard on the call. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The original home of the Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon, 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
My Uncle Gus is the uncle that likes to work the grill. As soon as he walk in the house, he's like, get away from that grill. You don't know how to start no fire.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
We're going to eat a hamburger, okay? Here we go. Chandler, throw the mat. Now that's a fire.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
I'm not cooking a brontosaurus burger.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on a Monday afternoon here on Danny and Dusty. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful Monday afternoon. There are a million NFL things to talk about coming out of this weekend. One of them being the Titans and Bengals perhaps play the most disgusting game of football we've ever seen.
Oh, yep.
Now, technically, with the Bengals winning, they are still alive.
No, they're not.
In the AFC playoff picture.
No, they're not.
They're not, but technically they are. Technically, Dusty.
No, they're not. They're dead. And they will not make the playoffs. And that's a disgrace because if you just go down and look at their schedule and you look at how many near misses they have had.
Oh, God, so many.
This has got to be like Zach Taylor's biggest nightmare. Like, of his entire career. Just how many one-score games that they have. They're 2 games under 500 and have a plus 12-point differential. Mm-hmm. Okay? To put that in perspective, the division-leading Los Angeles Rams are 8-6, and their point differential is negative 28. Mm-hmm.
40-point swing.
Flip their records, right? And the point differential makes sense for each one of those teams.
Sure.
What they're doing is, like, this is awful because
they have 2 one-point losses on the season.
The way that you have seen Joe Burrow play this year, it's MVP worthy. Mm-hmm. It's MVP worthy. But they have just been atrocious, especially at home. They're only 1-5 at home. They've lost to some really, truly dreadful teams, including at the very beginning of the year to the New England Patriots with Jacoby Brissett.
Good Lord.
I mean, it is this year has been a year of frustrations, but yesterday that game was awful. It was the first game in NFL history that has had 10 total turnovers and 25 accepted penalties.
Good God.
They're both really bad teams right now.
Did we see Will Levis' career end?
No. He's young. He's only in his 2nd year. Like,
getting pulled for Mason Rudolph is tough.
Yeah, I know, but we've seen guys hang around and, like, Will Levis, the starting high caliber quarterback. Yeah, sure, done. But guys hang around in the NFL for a really long time. See Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, he has to have a blackmail file.
But and he's finally out of the league. But there's guys like that across the NFL, and they'll stick around for a really long time. That's why when people are like, Daniel Jones is going to be out of the league, no, he won't. Daniel Jones will be playing in the NFL, and he's going to be playing in the NFL for a handful of more years. And teams are always on the lookout for having a backup quarterback. The guys who don't make it as backups are the ones that, Tim Tebow or Johnny Manziel, where you become a bigger distraction than the starting quarterback. And that's why you get out of and find your way out of the NFL. What's the guy, Chad, oh boy, the Ole Miss quarterback who played up in the CFL, just broke his leg for the Argonauts. But he was a party animal. They had the team holiday party, and he ended up drunk in somebody's house.
Oops.
Yeah. Nope. That's how you lose your spot as a backup quarterback in the NFL, is you go and you act a fool and you be a distraction. As long as Will Levis...
Ryan Russillo.
As long as you are a person who's willing to play the backup role, dude, he'll play in the NFL for as long as he wants. But that game was ugly. That game was really bad. We saw that was the first of two. We had fumbles out of the end zone because the Bengals guy, he was running and it looked like he was trying to extend the ball out. But as he was pumping his arms, he tried to change hands and knocked the ball out of his own hand out of the back of the end zone. If that would have lost the game for the Bengals, Joe Burrow may have actually murdered him. And
this is after somebody broke into his house and while he was playing a game and exposed the girlfriend he was with.
That's right, who is an employee, according to police. But then we had another fumble out of the end zone. Jonathan Taylor, did you see that in the Colts-Broncos game? Which are all of our rookie quarterbacks, Jane Daniels excluded. They all showed hey, by the way, we're still rookies.
Still rookies.
Bo Nix had one of the worst first halves you could ever have. But they ended up rebounding. We had 3 picks in that game.
Shout out jumping back for a pick 6 and housing that thing.
3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for Bo Nix. The second half was much better. But Jonathan Taylor, he had a walk-in touchdown, and he let go of the ball before the pylon. That, to me, the fact that this keeps on happening is beyond me. I don't know how guys continue to do that. There is no reason
just take
why
it
that
deep
should
into
happen.
the end zone, then do it. I don't get it.
I don't either. Shane Steichen after the game.
It was a mistake. Obviously, it hurt us, but, he's one of our leaders. And sometimes that happens in football. But, he's our guy, and that's where it's at.
Such a beatdown.
You don't say.
In that right there, a fumble like that, they ended up losing 31-13. So you can't say that is what did it.
No.
But
didn't help.
I mean, that goes a long way of the tides of that game churning. And now, because they lost that game, you see the Broncos have a 91% chance to make the playoffs, and the Colts are down to 10%. That play, and then let's not forget Anthony Richardson, he turned into a pumpkin too. And as Bo Nix was having a bad game, Anthony Richardson said, "Hold my beer, bro. I got you. I'm going to make you look so much better right now." But that Colts game, that was a disaster as well. I mean, Colts-Broncos, Denver found a way to win again, and they're just plugging right along, man. I don't know how they're doing it at the clip they are, but who would have thought that would be a 10-win team this year?
Yeah, no, I mean, I had it 100% wrong. I didn't think there was a chance in hell this team was getting anywhere near that.
They've won 4 games in a row. Bo Nix is still showing you he is a rookie quarterback. He's going through it. They've got 3 games left. At 9-5 right now, they have the Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs. Okay? They need one more win. They're going to be a 10-win team. If you win one of those 3 games, which, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they get rolled by the Buccaneers yesterday. Herbert gets dinged up again. You have that Chiefs game at the very end of the year. What is Kansas City going to be playing for, especially if you have a limited Patrick Mahomes and they have the 1 seed locked up? If you have a Chiefs team that I think they got the 3 games in 10 days stretch here where they play Saturday, Wednesday, and a Sunday, right? If they have that, that kind of run, or it would have to be 12 days then, 3 games in 12 days. If Chiefs have the number 1 seed locked up, they're saying we just need to get Mahomes healthy into the postseason. Dude.
They could just rest and it's an opportunity.
Denver is solidifying themselves as a playoff team. The AFC West might get 3 in.
Which is an insane thought from the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. In 2 of their final 3 games, they could be playing quarterbacks that are dinged up in the Chargers and the Chiefs. Go Broncos.
Such a weird place to be. Speaking of weird places to be, the Eagles, despite seemingly sticking their foot in their mouth at every single opportunity, are 12-2 after a win over the Steelers. And Jalen Hurts is feeling sassy. We'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty.
Sassy.
It's the
We're all totally and patently aware that the Kansas City Chiefs have used human sacrifice to win the games that they've won this year.
Not this past weekend.
I don't know what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. Is it blood magic?
No, they're really good.
I understand that, but it seems like every week they're finding a way to have something in their locker room come out as something problematic, as something weird, as something different. There was an article that came out when we were in D.C. I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday, that there's some division in the locker room with the Eagles, particularly, and we hinted at this last week with Jalen Hurts with the Brandon Graham stuff. Like, is there kind of a Russell Wilson thing? Well, there was discussion that came out that Jalen Hurts apparently has flown home on the owner's plane separate from the team multiple times. It's like, oh, okay. Now we're getting to the crux of this. There is a little bit of Russell Wilson here that's causing some division. But somehow, some way, whether it's overwhelming talent or the ability to push stuff to the side, the Eagles keep chugging along, and they beat the crap out of the Steelers. I mean, 2-1 time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Russell Wilson threw the ball 22 times. Okay? They ran the ball 17.
That's why I do not trust the Steelers.
39 total plays. Jalen Hurts threw the ball 32 times on himself. They ran 42 times. I mean, like, there was nothing even close.
It all comes down to the second half because the Steelers only had 2 drives. Period.
It's insane.
And it's the most beautiful thing that you can ever have in football is the way that the Eagles ended the game. They went on a 21-play, 88-yard drive that lasted 10 minutes and 29 seconds.
That's what 26 first downs to 10 first downs.
That
like
is the most beautiful thing any football coach or player can ask for. Is you just broke their will. And also, look, when TJ Watt gets hurt, things aren't going to go well for you, Pittsburgh. He's really good. Lane Johnson did an incredible job against TJ Watt. Like, the Eagles are so talented, it's ridiculous. And they win on talent a lot. But the fact that they limited the Pittsburgh Steelers to only 11 plays on 2 drives in the second half, I mean, that's how you blow a team out. And that's also why I don't trust Pittsburgh in their offense.
Yes.
Like, as much as Russell Wilson is not washed, and I was saying that, like, he's not going to be dead. He's not dead. Is he past his prime? Absolutely. But he could still win you games, right? In Pittsburgh, he has found a way to do that. But when they go up against more talented teams like this, they will struggle, especially a ball control type team that Philadelphia is. Like, which makes it so crazy that Baltimore just can't do anything against them.
It's very weird.
It's the division rivalry.
On that ball control point, the Eagles had a 13-play, 74-yard, 6-minute and 33-second drive in the second quarter. It was one of their 3 drives. Both in plays, yards, and time of possession, that one drive from the Eagles was more than the Steelers could get done in there too.
Dude, they had 3 drives of 6.5 minutes or more in the second half.
And
and that was the only drives they had. That's crazy.
It's insane.
It's crazy, Tom.
That is five total possessions in a half.
Yeah. And that's awesome, but also what is awesome is the way that Jalen Hurts went about his business. Like, he and A.J. Brown, they did the Fresh Prince dance again to just kind of shut everybody up and tell them, hey, like, we may not be best friends, but it's not going to affect us, right? They get going, and that's like the thing with Philly is, like, they're the most Philly team of all time. They're using anger and rage to be successful, which is probably what the 76ers should do.
Well, they should probably be careful because if anything else gets angry or rageful, something else might break.
But Jalen Hurts sits down at the press conference yesterday and goes,
"So that's what y'all want to see, huh?"
Yeah, it is. It is, because he was electric. He was electric. 25, 32, 290, 2 touchdowns. He was insane. Like, Jalen Hurts.
And a rushing touchdown and running for 45 yards.
A.J. Brown said the problem with their passing game is the passing. It wasn't against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Nope.
And they dominated. And that's as impressive as a win as you could get. Tied at the half and then just to run away with it in the second. Or, it was 17-13 at half, and then to run away with it in the second half, yeah, that's an exclamation point that Philly put on Pittsburgh, and this team is just really damn good, man, and they could be like Super Bowl good, this Philadelphia team.
Which is crazy to think about considering all the storylines that have come out of the season.
Yeah, and you know what? Those storylines, they could rear their ugly head and probably be what nips them in the butt at some point.
Tangentially related, what did you think of the Dwayne Washington-Darius Slay incident, as it were, where Dwayne Washington blocked Darius Slay and put a steering wheel in his chest for 40 yards? It turned into a full-on fight.
I love that. I love everything about it. I mean, if you can get in a guy's chest plate, you control him. And that is exactly what happened. And you know what? It's emasculating. It's demoralizing. And you're probably going to get somebody swing on you if you do it hard enough. It's one of my favorite things. When those things happen, I love it. I love every bit of it.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. It's beauty.
I mean, he got blocked into the stands.
Oh, be a dude. Be a dude. That's what you got to do.
Turns out being 6'8", like 290, is useful for blocking DBs.
Yeah. Everything about having the ability to do that to another, that's what football is. That's what you try to do on every single play. It's just a really hard thing to do.
Particularly at that level.
When it happens, awesome. Awesome.
All right, coming up next, we'll put a nice little bow on some NFL news and notes, the playoff picture, and anything else that we missed coming out of
Seahawks. We haven't talked Seahawks, and this is huge.
Yes, which is probably problematic. But first, here's Big Good with Sports Center Update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge, online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on The Fan, it is NFL Week 15 wrapping up with a Monday Night Football 2-game slate. Don't call it a doubleheader because it's not. First up, Bears at the Vikings, 5 o'clock kick on ABC. Vikings are 7-point favorites. Then a scant 30 minutes later at 5:30 on ESPN, it's the Falcons in Vegas against the Raiders. The Falcons are 6-point road favorites. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, he's been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain. He is considered week to week. Lions head coach Dan Campbell says running back David Montgomery, he's going to have season-ending knee surgery for a torn MCL after being injured in yesterday's loss to the Bills. After a loss last night in Phoenix to the Suns, the Blazers now off until Thursday when they host the Nuggets. They're now losers of 6 straight and 10 of their last 12. Portland 8-18 on the season. That's the third worst mark in the West and 7th worst in the league. 76ers announced center Joel Embiid is out indefinitely with a sinus fracture. He'll be reevaluated in 1 week, and some college hoops tonight on 910 ESPN Portland. The Pilots hosting the Willamette Bearcats. That's my first college. Here's a deep cut. Shout out mid-90s stars RJ Adelman, rest in peace, and DeRay Thirdgill. Pre-game coverage at 6:30, tip at 7 o'clock with swag on the call. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan.
We talked about it last week. The NFC playoff picture getting murky at best. The Green Bay Packers go up to Seattle, and boy, did it look like Green Bay had an axe to grind. They absolutely pummel the Seahawks into the ground. It looked like one of those Bugs Bunny cartoons when he hammers Elmer Fudd into the ground with a giant mallet and just keeps going for the memes.
Yeah, I think the bigger, like, we knew Green Bay is good, and the NFC North is absolutely insane. They got 3 10-win teams already. They're the only division to have 3 10-win teams, and there's 3 divisions in football that don't even have a 10-win team yet.
It is absolutely insane how good that division
is.
The
Vikings haven't even played this week either.
They could be a 12-win team in a wild card.
Yup. But if they win out, they control their own destiny. Now, with Green Bay, we knew they were good. And look, they wore their whiteout uniforms. It was the highlighter versus the whiteout. Uniform advantage, Green Bay in that one. I thought that was a clean little look.
Twas nice.
Better than going all black at home like the Lions, I thought. But Geno Smith went down in that game, and boy, that could be the nail in the coffin for this Seahawks team.
Yeah, if you thought Geno Smith was a problem, you saw Sam Howell play quarterback, and you went, oh, no, this is not good.
Yeah.
I should be afraid.
And there was, I know Geno was upset, and the Seahawks were upset that he went low to try and get him. I didn't think that there was anything nefarious in the injury itself, in the hit itself.
Unfortunate, but not dirty.
And I appreciate what Sam Howell said after the game, where he was like, look, I need to be better. I know I need to be better. I need to get back to it, because that was not the quarterback that we saw in Washington last year, which was competent. He didn't look competent. I think there's 2 things at play there. One, Green Bay was dialed in, and they had a great game plan for Seattle. The other one is Sam Howell looked like a guy who just hasn't played quarterback in a long time. I think he had 1 pass attempt all season long entering yesterday. And it's a brutal night for the Seahawks, because not only is it a loss, not only do you lose Geno Smith, and we don't know how long that is going to be, Sam Howell plays terribly, and, oh, by the way, you're not even in the division lead anymore, because the Rams are, with their 12-6 pillow fight with the 49ers on Thursday night, are now the leaders in the division on a 3-game winning streak, and we mentioned them earlier. They're 8-6 winning a division right now.
Minus 28.
Minus 28 point differential. But what they're doing is they're winning ugly games. They're finding a way to do it in a variety of ways, whether it's a shootout that they win with the Buffalo Bills, or it's a game that's ground to a halt in the rain in Santa Clara, not San Francisco. They're finding different ways to do it, and they're winning on a razor's edge. When they play good teams, though, the Rams have gotten blasted.
Yeah.
Eagles absolutely blast them. That win over Buffalo was the biggest thing and biggest surprise, is that we talked about that line heading into the weekend, like, gosh, this doesn't make sense. Well, Vegas knows matchups. Styles make fights, and here come the Rams, where now their 3 final games are the Jets, Cardinals, and, oh, by the way, very last game of the year is in L.A. against the Seahawks. The division's probably going to be on the line in that game.
Very likely. Well, I should say very likely, with the exception of, if Geno's knee's cooked. If they're going to be rolling out Sam Howell for the final 3 games of the season. And at that point in time, you do have to wonder kind of where it's going to go, because you have the Seahawks taking on the Vikings, the Bears, and then the Rams. Vikings, you can chalk that up probably as a loss. Bears, they should win that game. Mm-hmm. Should. Right? Sure. Yeah. But if you drop one, if you drop both, oh boy.
Oh
boy.
I saw this earlier today. They did a little graph, and graphs get my attention. I
do love me a good data visualization.
Yeah. Do you know who the closest comp based on Pro Football Focus grade and EPA per play is from all quarterbacks in the NFL to Caleb Williams?
Who?
Dak Prescott. In the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth worst is sixth worst is Caleb Williams. 7th worst is Dak Prescott. In Pro Football Focus grade and EPA per play. Only guys that are worse are Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew, Deshaun Watson, Will Levis, and Cooper Rush.
Yeesh.
Yeah. Guess who's got a better Pro Football Focus grade than those two?
Who?
Daniel Jones.
Boy, I find that hard to believe. Oof. That's tough.
That's pretty ugly, huh? And Bo Nix's closest comp, Jameis Winston.
What was Bo's comment? What was his line? Threw it right to the other team?
Yeah. Drop back, threw it to the other team.
Which we were at a sports bar in D.C. when we were waiting for the plane yesterday with some Browns fans. And
they're living that life.
They were living that life, and they were like, just get rid of.
Yeah.
Just get rid of Deshaun. Like, we don't care. We just don't even want him around.
Yeah.
And they were like, man, I'd love to go back to 2020 and keep Baker. Boy, I'd love to keep back. They were like, to think about the world we would be in if we had Baker still.
You know what a weird cluster on this little graph was?
What?
Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. All three very different years.
Yeah, but still kind of the same year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting. There are the three outliers, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow.
Where's Goff in all of this?
Goff is really high in the EPA.
Is he out on the course?
But not the and his grade. His grade, like, he's just significantly behind the Pro Football Focus grade of some of the other guys. Jane Daniels is 4th.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
He had a throw this weekend. My God.
Yeah.
My God, the shaking free and a jump throw into the end zone that was inch perfect.
He's been really good this year.
He's been better than I ever possibly could have imagined.
We all expected Jane Daniels and Sam Darnold to be clustered together, right? At near the top of the NFL quarterbacks, not the bottom.
That's the kicker there, which
it's crazy.
Shout out old Big Head.
Yeah, he's getting it done, baby.
Yeah, that size 8 dome, man. It's it's getting things done for the Vikings.
Yeah.
So
right.
It's an interesting spot to be. All right, come up next, we'll put a nice little bow on today's show. Maybe share a few more things from the Army-Navy weekend and just the incredible trip that Dusty and I had.
It's time for a Blazers report on the Fan. The inside story on the Portland Trailblazers. Brought to you by Aztec Willie's Taqueria.
The Portland Trailblazers fall twice in a row to their post-in-season tournament games schedule, the 2 games they didn't know that they were going to play coming into the season, to the San Antonio Spurs and to the Phoenix Suns, to 2 to the Spurs, to 6 to the Suns. In both instances, a little more scrappy than the Blazers that lost by 40 just more than a week ago. They are getting healthier. The return of Robert Williams III and Donovan Clingan both on deck. DeAndre Ayton is sick, so the thought process is he will be back at least relatively soon. Everybody else looks like they're good to go. They're going to have a few days off before they play the Denver Nuggets for the first time this season, which is going to kind of a weird time to see them played. And then follow it up with Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. They've currently lost 6 in a row. Could get real dicey here real quick. This Trailblazers Report on the Fan is brought to you by Aztec Willie's Taqueria. The best place to go before and after games or any event. Check them out on the corner of Southeast 15 and Broadway at AztecWillies.com.
Aztec Willie's Taqueria has been Portland's destination for homestyle Mexican food for 30 years. Get ready for your team with our daily happy hour from 3 to 6. Can't make the game? Watch it live at Aztec Willie's on the corner of 15th and Broadway. Mention this ad and get $2 off. Savings on orders of $10 or more.
Seahawks football is on the Fan.
It's picked off. Leo Williams coming near side. He's running like a racehorse. He's at midfield. Turns upfield and blockers. Holy smokes, are you kidding?
Join us all season long for Seahawks football. Brought to you by Warren Allen Attorneys at Law. Injured? Don't trust just anyone with something so personal. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com. The Seahawks play here. 1080.
Holy catfish.
The Fan.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the Warehouse Club.
But
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
better than online and at the club?
I know! Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Jansen Beach, Clackamas, Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene, Video Only.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
no need to feel bad for wanting quality winter golf conditions, even in the wet Northwest. It exists at Langdon Farms. 100% committed to sand and drainage. You will see the difference. Langdon Farms, no better course in the Northwest for year-round golf. Book your tee time at langdonfarms.com.
This holiday at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor.
What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop Deal Double G.
Snoop, let's talk about T-Mobile.
Okay, cool.
This holiday, get 4 lines for $25 a line, plus 4 iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and the all-new camera control on us.
Let's get cracking, like a breakfast egg.
You can use those eggs to make some eggnog, Snoop.
Respect.
And people do love T-Mobile, where you can save on every plan versus the other big guys when you switch.
You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
Always a great stocking stuffer, Snoop.
We up out of here.
Hold your horses, Snoop D-O-double G. Let's remind people one more time.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get 4 iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us, plus 4 lines for $25. Now drop that Jacob.
With 24-month bill credits for eligible trade-ins and 4 new lines without our pay. Well qualified customers plus taxes and fees and $35 per line connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits or credit stop and balance on required finance agreement is due $999.99. Credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save on wireless and streaming versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later.
Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Shout out Rip City Reddit for that edit.
Yeah,
fantastic.
that is you.
That's me.
They made a video of you and your.
Loved it.
That's so good.
That was awesome.
That's so good.
Awesome.
Oh,
absolutely
man.
fantastic.
Yeah.
No, that was thing I was after a bad loss. I was just like, oh God, here we go again. Real quick, what an incredible trip to DC. Absolutely awesome. Army, Navy. Shout out USAA and Jimmy Shapiro for putting everything together for us. Just
yeah. It was a bucket list weekend, and it was sweet. It was awesome.
I hope you guys enjoyed
really good people.
The interviews that we had on Friday on Radio Row.
Yep.
Whether it was the Lieutenant General Gilland, whether it was Ron Rivera, Zach Leonsis, I mean the cadets.
Joe Theismann was
Joe
good.
was on point, man.
Yeah, he was great.
I thought he was great.
I will say I greatly enjoyed it from back here in the studio all by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want me to tell you.
I want you to tell USAA, be like, hey, our producer's awesome too. He should come along as well.
It'd be like, for why?
Yeah. We have all of ours here.
Just cuz.
I would have loved to have you there too.
No,
Russ. I would have.
It would have been a blast, man. But I mean,
you'd have been life of the party.
It was.
Oh, that's what we could.
Oh,
tell.
well, that's definitely true.
You'd be life of the party.
Yeah, as long as we went somewhere to karaoke.
But we didn't have any of that. So I think it's the one thing we probably didn't do.
No karaoke. No, there were talks of karaoke though. There were talks of karaoke.
Oh, was there?
Oh yeah.
I didn't catch those.
Sounds like you all needed me.
See?
Yeah.
You would have found the spot. But I want to throw this out there to everyone.
Also, I am a USAA member because of my father's and my grandfather's service.
Hey, look at that.
You know.
Look at
yeah.
I'm too much of a coward to have done it myself, but my father and both of my grandfathers were there.
I will say this on Friday. The Radio Row was at the Women's Memorial History Museum right there. We were hundreds of feet from Arlington National Cemetery. I'm a strong believer, having been in there now. Every American should go there once.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Every American should go there once.
It was incredible. It was breathtaking.
It was one of the most, if not the most, humbling experience of my life.
Yeah. DC is full of history, traditions,
a lot of stuff,
and monuments and memorials, but Arlington National Cemetery was it was something else. Like you can't explain it either until you actually get there and you see it. And I've seen so many things on television and documentaries. It all pales in comparison to actually seeing it with your own eyes.
Yeah.
I highly recommend.
Yeah, I mean,
highly recommend.
There was a row of semi trucks miles long, and every single one of those trailers was filled with wreaths that they were going to put on every single gravestone in that place. And it was just it is the most sacred and hallowed ground in this country.
Yep, it really is. It was a weekend full of those kind of moments of just looking and going to an Army-Navy game. If you are a fan of sports, it is absolutely 100% worth the trip. I mean, football is secondary to everything else that happens. Like I was saying this after the game got over, is like, dude, it's going to elicit an emotion after that game. Either you are going to be all primed up for USA, right? And your sports pants. No, your America pants are going to get
literal
tight.
Pants.
Going to get tight, or you will shed a tear.
Like those Rex Kwon pants.
Some people were saying, well, maybe both. Maybe both will happen, but it will elicit a reaction when you are at that game and you see those young men on the field after the game singing the alma maters, winner singing second. It's crazy.
And you could be the least patriotic person. You don't believe in that stuff at all.
Yeah.
It will reach down and grab you by the soul.
I am far from, the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, America.
Yeah.
100%. But I'm not the.
You're
I'm going to pound my chest at any given moment. No, it's one of those moments that you are very, very thankful, happy, and proud that you are.
You were walking out of there ready to buy a back-to-back World War Champs T-shirt.
I already have one, but it makes you just feel. It really makes you feel happy and confident with the future leaders. I can tell you that much.
I think that's the single biggest thing that I came out of there with was like, you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And not even comfortable. You feel there is a resting sense of calm.
Yeah.
And that the kids will be all right.
Yeah.
And it was really a transcendent moment. I got to connect back with other veterans for the first time in a while, and it was good to be in that again.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing for me that I just identified with so much, just being around so many people that understood, and you not being a part of that and being able to experience that and seeing like the what it did to you. Like that's what that weekend is all about. And football being last, it's pretty cool.
It was awesome.
Like that's
really cool.
That because the football's still great in its own way.
Yeah, it is. It's different. It's a lot different. Game goes by so much faster when they don't throw. You know, I will tell you.
That clock was ticking, baby.
How is this game done in 2 hours and 9 minutes?
Dude, if they didn't have the ridiculous TV timeouts that every football game has now, that game would have been done
in 2 hours.
In less than 2 hours. Way less than 2 hours.
It was crazy.
You would have been out of there in 90 minutes with a 25-minute halftime. They were moving.
Yeah, that's an extended one, isn't it? The 20, because what is it, typically 15?
Yeah, I think it was actually like 28 minutes is the actual length of halftime. It was long.
They did some young folks enlisted at halftime, some re-enlisted at halftime.
Ooh, pregame, badass. I will say the Navy, they don't do well at marching. They had a problem with their parachuters coming onto the field. The Army guys,
because they're used to the water.
I know. They dropped on the 50-yard line like
kid.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. On the 50.
But The Navy guys stayed on their feet.
They actually did.
The Army guys, they went down to a knee.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of boo.
Yeah, but they were coming in hot because they were going to hit the
precision.
50. Yeah,
Well, the precision.
They were going to hit the 50, but it wasn't going to be graceful.
But did they come down like in the Avenger pose? Like with one, fist down on the ground and
No, it was awesome.
All right,
though.
I was trying to sell
Flyovers were great. Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. All right, that does it for us today. Guess what? We back tomorrow, baby.
Indeed.
We're back tomorrow. Up next, you got 4 hours of power from their mouths to their ears. Or from their mouths to your ears. And there's a 2, I guess.
Yeah,
Goes
we get
back
that
in
going.
there. It's prime time with Ice Good Souk. Have a great Monday, everybody.
Bye.
He's not eating her stuff. She's eating his stuff.
Have a special somebody on your shopping list that loves to golf? Then you'll love Red Tail Golf Center's annual store-wide holiday sale, where you'll save up to 50% off all the gifts for your golfer, including top-name clubs, balls,